Hello everyone. So today let us learn something about listeners, and listeners are great in Jira because in Jira, whenever you do something, whenever users are doing something, there is always some event, right? Now, though those events could be issue created, issue commented, issue resolved, maybe, right? And or maybe issue updated. So whenever these events occur in Jira on those issues, you can do something. Now, of course, we all know about post functions, and in Jira, post functions are, of course, associated with a workflow. So basically, whenever an issue is transitioned, you may want to do something, right? Maybe you want to send an email, maybe you want to send a notification somewhere, maybe you want to update something, maybe a field in another linked issue, right? So there are so many use cases of a post function, but wherever possible, try to use listeners, because the listeners are outside your workflow, so it is a bit easier to manage your listener, and you can of course monitor like the log. So today let us do something very simple. We'll just create a simple listener, and we'll see how we can like monitor, or how we can log different events, right? So treat this video as like your first ever listener that you will create. So what we'll do, we'll go to our, of course, Jira instance, and this is my issue, right? Or this is my project where I want to do something. Let us say I want to create a new issue in this project, or maybe I want to update my issue, maybe I want to add a comment, right? So there are so many things that you can do. Now when you have these listeners, you can of course do something, but the first thing is to learn how to work with listeners. So what we need to do, we just need to go to this tab called listener, right? So if you are using Scriptrunner for Jira on data center, just go to the listener tab and you can create a new listener. Now there are some inbuilt listeners which we will not use. We will create a custom listener so that we can see how it works, and you can give this listener a name. Maybe I want to say that I want to log the event name. That is it. Because sometimes, and I'll tell you why. When you create a new listener, you have to select where you want this listener to, or I should say, you want to define the scope of this listener. Maybe you want this listener to only work for selected projects. Maybe I want this listener to only work on the events related to the sample Scrum project. Now, also what you can do, you can then further define what events. So maybe I want this listener to work on whenever a new issue is created in sample Scrum project, whenever an existing issue is updated, maybe the issue is assigned to someone, maybe the issue is commented, right? And let us do one more thing. Let us have issue resolved. So issue resolved is something that usually people want to, so it's an event that you want to trigger from the workflow when you are resolving the issue, right? Usually, you want to update the resolution field. At the same time, you want to trigger this issue resolved event. Now what we'll do, we'll write a script here, and I can use IntelliJ, or I can use console, or basically the inline script. Let us use IntelliJ. So I'll type here listener. My script is already there, but you can always create your own script, or you can use inline whatever, like console. So this listener is there, and right now there is nothing happening, right? So we'll write something here in the script. So what I will do is I will basically write a script that will simply, of course, based on these events, like the events that we are talking about, we want to see for these 5 events, issue created, issue updated, commented, resolved, and I think one more, created, right? So we want to just log them somewhere. So let us do something like maybe a simple switch, or maybe I will just simply log it somewhere so that we can see what events are getting triggered. And then of course we can do something. So in this video, let us just understand how to get started with listeners. So the first thing that you may want to do, you want to first maybe work on the issue, right? Because that is where we are work on the because whenever you're talking about listeners will work on one issue. So whenever an issue is updated, whenever that particular issue is created, whatever, right? So basically, you need to first work on the issue, and there is already this issue variable that you will find when you are working with listeners. And for doing this, of course, you can use your IntelliJ, because if you're using IntelliJ, then you might not get the issue variable. So in this case, let us, to keep things very simple, let us just go back to the listener, and let us not bother with the listener like IntelliJ. Let me edit this and get rid of this file and use the inline. So basically, here you need to use the issue variable, which you will get whenever you're working with the listener. And you can always take a look at the help. So you can see here that you have this issue event. So not the issue event, not the issue variable, but issue event is the variable. So you can do something like this here, like define this issue. So define issue, and you can use event dot issue, and you can say as mutable issue. So you can use this, and now you have the issue where you want to work on, and you can straight away do something like this, log.debug or warn, I believe, and then say here issue. So if you just do simple issue in your log and update, and if you now go back to your SSP project, let us create a new issue or a story, whatever. So let's create a new story, and when you create a new story, you can okay, I need to select this field because in the previous video we learned how to add a new behavior. So I'll just go back. So whenever you do something in the issue or in the project, if that particular event is supposed to be here, it will come here, right? So you can see here the warning is now telling us that this issue, SSP 29, was basically something happened with that particular issue. Now that is not enough, right? We need to do more. So we can do more, of course. So let us do more. Let us also try to fetch the event that we are trying to work on, because in this particular script, maybe you want to have just one script for all these events, but based on the event type, you may want to do something different. Maybe for the issue creation, you want to send an email, or maybe for the issue assigned, you may want to send a Slack message, right? So there are so many things that you can do. Of course, you can have different scripts, but of course, if you can do it in just one script, probably better, right? Now, what we need to do, we need to use something called as an event manager. So for that, of course, we need a component accessor. So let us ask our good old friend component accessor dot get event manager. So using event manager, I'll probably create a new variable so that we can use it somewhere. Now what we need to do, we just need to now fetch the so using event manager, there is something called as a get event type. So you can do something like get event manager, or basically event manager dot get event type, and this method get event type, it will take the event type ID as the argument, which you can fetch from the event. So event dot event type ID, and once you do this, you basically are close, but you need to basically do something like get name. So this will give you the event name, like whether the issue is created, basically these events on top, and then you can do something about it. So you can basically store it in a variable get event type name, like if I'm defining a variable name, and that is it. Let us log it, and maybe we can do something like this. Let us remove this log.warn, and let us do log.debug and issue, or maybe let us do $issue, and I need to I'm basically trying to mix it with the string. Like I want to print something, so issue, and then I want to say the event name, event type name. So event type name, and that is it. So basically, what will happen now? Our script will. Let us just test it first. So I'll go back to the issue. Let me just edit this SSP28. I'll add a description and listener, then refresh. Do we have something here? Okay, so we need to probably use log.one. Let us do log.one. Okay, that should work. So if you update this, and if you now update, let us say the priority, right? So basically we are doing some change. So we are updating the issue, and if you go back and if you look at the log, it will say in the log issue updated. This is wonderful, right? Because now we can see the event. Now you can go back and say, I think we are also doing the issue. We have checked issue created, issue updated. Let us do issue assigned and assign it to me. Go back, refresh, and so we still have the issue assigned event. Let me just double check. So SSP issue updated. Oh yeah, so issue assigned is there. So issue assigned is getting triggered, but because whenever you, so there are two events, right, in this case. Now what else? We also have the issue commented. So let us check. In this case, let us do SSP27 just to have some variety. So I'm adding a comment. Go back, refresh, and now it should say issue commented, right? And we also have issue resolved. I'm not really sure if the workflow is triggering the resolved issue event, but we can check very quickly. So I can go back to the project settings and then the workflow. So basically the issue resolved event will only come into picture. I mean, this will only show up if you have it in the workflow, in the post function for the final closure state, which is usually done or resolved. Let us take a look. Come on. The workflow is here. We are trying to modify. And let us look at the diagram first. So it is simple, although I prefer working on text mode. So we have this closed. Maybe you want to trigger the event here. So if you look at the transition that goes to close, we might have the issue resolved event, which is not the case. So I can change it. I can change it to something called as issue resolved. And by the way, before I do that, let me just show you very quickly. I'll just go to the SSP27 and let us see if something happens if you resolve the issue, because this is actually a problem. I mean, not a problem, but it happens quite a lot where we write a listener, but the listener is not working because there is no event. So I've just closed this SSP27. If I go back to the listener, there will not be, so it's still issue commented because that issue resolved event is not there in the workflow. So let us update this and let us click on the publish. No, I don't want my backup. Let us open it again and let us resolve it. Sorry, not resolve. Let us close it again. And hopefully this time we'll have issue resolved. So basically what I'm trying to show you in this video is how to get started with listener and the approach that you should take, because of course you can create like one listener for each event, but often I've seen you just want, you can, if you can manage it with just one script. What I normally do is, based on the event name, I have like a switch. So basically I write here something like a switch case, and you can say event type name, which is obviously something that we anyways have. So when you write a switch case, you can then say, okay, so if the issue is created, then of course you want to do something, right? Maybe you want to do something, and then of course break. And obviously don't whenever you're working with switch case, never ever forget break, otherwise things are weird. So issue created, issue updated, and same, do something, break. So this is basically something that you should do. Let me also do it for the other two or other three. So issue created, issue updated, issue commented, issue resolved or issue assigned, and maybe one more, right? What else do we have? So you can do issue resolved, and maybe you can have whenever I write case switch, I remember my computer teacher from 1999, and we used to write code in C++, and we used to or our teacher used to tell us, never forget break, and always try to have a default as a good practice. And maybe you can do return. I mean of course when you do something here, you are basically maybe returning something, maybe you are whatever, right? Basically you can do whatever, but the thing is that if you have something like this, so you can basically have like a method that will call something, like maybe you want to do something on issue creation, maybe you want to do something on issue update, and so on. And that is it. Basically, if you follow this approach, of course, in this video we have learned how to create a listener. Of course, that listener is not doing anything apart from just helping us understand how to get started. But I'm also trying to help you with how you can plan writing your listeners. All right, that is it. Hopefully in the next video we'll do something with listeners. Let us see. If you have any ideas, let me know. And that is all. That is all I wanted to talk about and share in this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and you also learned something new. Thank you very much. Bye bye.